The demonstration you see in this video today may not match perfectly with the way your agency has been configured, but this video will give you a good demonstration of the most common roles and responsibilities for LEAPS users. And in this particular video, we are going to look at the primary roles and responsibilities of administrators and supervisors in our system. So as you can see here on this screen, administrators and supervisors actually share about exactly the same roles and responsibilities in LEAPS. The main difference is that we categorize administrators as one level higher than supervisors. So when something like an evaluation needs a final level of approval, it can go up another level to the administrators. So we know who the trainees are. We know the trainers are the FTOs, are the ones working with them daily to get through the training program. The supervisors are a level above the trainers, and the administrators would be a level above our supervisors. So this most often comes in as an important thing when it comes to evaluations and the acknowledgement of evaluations. So, for instance, with a standard daily observation report, a trainer is typically the one who fills out a report on a trainee's performance, and then a trainee acknowledges it. And once the trainee acknowledges it, it goes up to a supervisor. And then for some agencies, they like to go and have it go to an additional step up toward an administrator. But as you can see here, the roles and responsibilities are essentially identical in this system. So today's video here is really an overview of the roles and responsibilities for both of these types of users, as they are commonly holding similar roles. Those four primary roles are setting the training calendar, which is where you match up a trainer to work with a trainee over a set period of days. The second role is acknowledge evaluations. We just talked about that, playing a part in the process of acknowledging that evaluations were filled out correctly. And then last of all, not too common, but sometimes administrators and supervisors play the role of assigning and grading tests. Normally, most often we see that happening at the level of trainers. But you can certainly see the tests that have been taken and the results. And if you want, we can configure your system so that administrators and supervisors can also assign and grade tests. So we'll quickly look at that today. Okay, so let's log in to LEAPS as a supervisor today. This is our demo agency. When you first log into LEAPS, you always land on the dashboard, which is basically like a home page. But the dashboard shows time-sensitive tasks that require your attention or your acknowledgement. So on this dashboard, we already see something waiting for us here, and that's the acknowledgement of an evaluation. But we'll take a look at that in just a little bit. So this is our dashboard. The first thing we want to look at today is actually one of the most important steps that has to be taken when you first start using LEAPS. Nothing can happen until administrators or supervisors or even trainers set the training calendar. To do that, go to this training tab right here. You might think of this as training calendar. It's here that you see all of the trainees that are matched to work up with particular trainers. You see the subject of their training, you see the dates that they're working together, hours, and you even see the supervisors and administrators that are overseeing that particular partnership for that set of dates. If you want to, there's filters up at the top here. So let's say you only want to see Recruit Richard's training schedule. You can hit filter and it will show you only the information for Richard Recruit. But the first and most important task that I want to demonstrate here is the ability to actually set this calendar or set this schedule. And to do that, you're going to hit the Assign Trainee button right here. It's going to bring up a screen where you are going to select your trainee. You're going to put in a subject of the training, and then we'll put in a date range. So for this one, we're going to say it's week 3 of training. It goes from January 9th to January 13th. Now, if we've loaded in your shift schedules, they would populate right here, and you could say they are on day shift A or night shift B or something like that. But for today, what we'll do is we'll just select our hours of 7 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock at night. The trainer is going to be Teresa Trainer. It shows her current assignment so that you make sure you're not double booking her on something. And then you have to pick the overarching or the higher up supervisor and administrator that will be overseeing this partnership. Now, these down here below require some special configuration for your agency. So if this feature is desired, you have to let our support team know to activate it for you. But basically what it does is if Rachel is going to be working with Teresa for 5 days, and for instance, a DOR needs to be filled out every single day, you can pre-populate these evaluations for Teresa to fill out on her dashboard by clicking a button like this saying, I want a DOR for every day that they're working together. So, but what I'm going to do is hit create or update, and it creates this record right here. We now have Rachel working with Teresa. The subject is week 3 training. There's the 5 dates they're working together, and here's the supervisor and the administrator. Now, if you need to correct something on that, you can go to update, and it will bring you back to that same screen. Or if you need to get rid of a record, you can just delete it altogether and restart. Now, let's say you're in the middle of this week right here, and all of a sudden Teresa has to take time off of work in the middle of the week. So what you can do is you can hit substitute and come in here and select the days that Teresa's going to be gone. Let's say Wednesday and Thursday, Teresa is not going to be in the office, and instead Thomas, trainer, is going to take over her responsibilities of training the trainee for that day. So what you can do is change the dates that are being affected, select the new personnel that's going to be involved, and hit update. And now look at what happens on our training, our list of trainings. We see here that it's broken up. We have Teresa training for Monday, Tuesday. Then we have Thomas stepping in for Wednesday, Thursday. And then we have Teresa returning for Friday. So substitute is kind of a simple way to make a midweek adjustment to one of these roles of trainer, supervisor, or administrator. Now, like I said, setting the training calendar we find is normally a role that our administrators and supervisors are fulfilling, but we do see occasionally that agencies want to give their trainers the ability to set the training calendar as well. And most often that's more actually they're wanting to give the trainers the ability to update or substitute on the fly if something needs to be changed. So setting the training calendar is the most important step in order to kick off the LEAPS process. No work can be done until the training calendar has been set and trainees have been matched up with trainers. So that's a really important step. Another important role or responsibility for supervisors and administrators in our system is the role of acknowledging evaluations. So when an evaluation is filled out, at some point it's always going to make its way to a supervisor or to an administrator for final approval or acknowledgement that it's correct. And what we see here on the dashboard is one of those evaluations that have made its way up to the supervisor level for approval. So it's landed on my dashboard. It's a daily observation report filled out by Teresa on trainee Rachel. And I'm going to go ahead and click acknowledge over here on the right. And what it does is it shows me once again who filled it out and the order of people that have acknowledged it so far. So far the trainee has acknowledged it, and now it's my turn. It is a sequential order, so it has to be acknowledged in the proper order as displayed right here. So after I acknowledge it as Sharon Supervisor, it's going to go up to Adam Administrator for the final approval or acknowledgement. As I scroll down here, I can see the ratings that were given to the trainee for each of the different items being reviewed. If I want to, I can see a description of that item. That's only if your agency provided those descriptions can we load them in there so that they're available. Also, same thing with rating explanations. If your agency provides the definitions of what a rating of 1 looks like versus a rating of 4 or versus a rating of 7, those rating explanations can be loaded in here as well. Now, this particular DOR, pretty standard. It goes on a rating scale of 1 to 7 with also some not observes and some needing remedial training categories in there. But you can see what has been rated for each item. Some of them low with performance notes. Some of them received a high rating with performance notes. And down below, we had additional sections that we didn't really fill out very thoroughly here, but we had the ability for the trainer to select categories of most satisfactory performance and a category of least satisfactory performance, the ability to narrate special documented situations, and then also a narrative box at the bottom to provide additional comments. Some systems are configured to give all involved parties the ability to type in a note or question or an answer. So you could fill out a question, for instance, that you wanted to send to Teresa Trainer and say, why did you provide this type of rating on this item? And you could send or add that question to this evaluation and send it to Teresa. Or if you're not needing to do any of that, you can acknowledge the evaluation or you can unapprove it, which would send it back to the person who filled out the evaluation, being Teresa Trainer, and it sends it back to them for correction, which at that point it will then need to go through the whole acknowledgement process once again. But if we acknowledge it, and we go back to our dashboard, we will see that our dashboard is now empty and that evaluation has been fully acknowledged. So if I go to the evaluation section right here, we can see all the evaluations that have been filled out in this system. And here's the one I think that we just worked on with Rachel approving it today, myself approving it today, and now it's going up to Adam Administrator, where it will sit on his dashboard waiting for his approval. So evaluations is another important and key responsibility that supervisors and administrators do here in LEAPS. The last thing to take a look at, once again, not super common, that supervisors and administrators are assigning and grading tests, but the ability is there for you to go and assign a test and say, I want to assign a test to both my recruits or all my recruits, and it's going to be the parking violations test. It's due next Friday, and you can assign it. And at that point, you can see here, the parking violations test has been assigned to Rachel and Richard. It was assigned on this date. This is when it's due, and it's pending. Now, if a test has been taken by the trainee, they can go ahead. It will be marked as completed, and you can go ahead and grade it. Now, like I said, more often we are seeing the trainers perform the responsibility of grading a test, but you do have that ability in your system as supervisors and administrators if we give you those permissions. So you go ahead and you grade the test. Multiple choice answers, you can see what the trainee marked as the answer, and then you can see the correct answer. If it's a free text question where the trainee had to type in the response, you can see the question, the correct answer as provided by your agency, and you can see the answer that they typed. Well, that's obviously incorrect, so we'll mark that as 0 points. The multiple choice questions actually grade themselves, so there's no work to be done there. It's all the free text questions where you have to provide a grade for the answer that was provided. Now, once this test is completed, you can hit submit. And now that test has been graded. Rachel, recruit, traffic collisions test only got 3 out of 10 correct for a 30% score. In most systems, we have it set up so that the trainee is able to see their score, but not able to go back and view what they got right and what they got wrong. They'll need to approach either their trainer or a supervisor or an administrator to log into LEAPS and actually look at the test and see what questions they got right or wrong. So this video has been an overview of the core or the main roles and responsibilities for supervisors and for administrators in the LEAPS system. I hope you found it helpful. And if you have any questions, contact our support team, and they can always help you with configuring or changing your system to add or remove features that you may have saw in this video today, or answer any questions that you have. Thanks for watching.